Well, I would call that a vice.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about, not the tool used in woodworking.
Hot.
Talking about the president in the vice, the other one. The smaller president.
I mean more like a personal vice. Like, what do you consider yourself having any that you're,
100% no.
You're just a man of virtue.
Most of what I do is a virtue. Yeah.
You're an honest guy. I feel like you're about that life.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make conscious decisions.
Much like the subject of this film, when I start wars in the Middle East, I consider that a virtue, not a vice.
You think of both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Oh, whoa.
I think it's, yep, you better go to the hospital. Go to the hospital, gang.
What's going on here?
And yep. I'm having a heart attack, you idiot. I think that was terrible.
Guys, the clenched fists really sell it.
Well, in the scene, he's like clenching and unclenching his. That's what's so like surprising about it is because he's like, "Yep, you better take me to the hospital. I bleed mud."
That's your
just like
advice.
Dick Cheney. I bleed mud. Sorry, I had to stop the recording to mess with your thing, but now
no one's gonna
now
know.
There's a cut where I just say I bleed mud for no reason.
No context.
Dick Cheney also bleeds mud. So like his
because he's from the
performance.
South,
He's from Montana. That's the most north except for Alaska.
All right, Square State. Rop.
Oh wait, no, he's from Wyoming.
He is.
They're the same thing, I think. And I think that Montanians, Montaniacs, and
the Hannah Montanans,
Montaniacs and Wyamoks, as they're called, they should just accept that they're the same thing and that the world sees them that way.
I don't think the world sees them because they're both imaginary states.
Exactly. Well, exactly. It's like America for
Sorry.
years has tried to let us believe that there's a North and South Dakota, and I'm like, fuck off. How about that?
We only
also,
recognize Johnson.
Like South Arkansas, is that even a place?
It's
No.
unnecessary.
Yeah.
It's
America,
unnecessary.
just be one thing.
America, drop the states. you got too many.
You should take on this province territory thing that we got going up here. It's working out great for everybody.
Yeah, dude. Dozen tops. All right, don't be greedy. None of this 50. Too much.
Canada, the land of tops. Where are we? We're just like rambling. We haven't recorded in like a month because we were away.
Where were you
so
at?
all right, here's the itinerary.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about Vice.
Yeah.
Later. This itinerary is backwards. We're gonna talk about Vice.
Okay.
Before that, we're gonna talk about that we went to Spain.
Woo-woo.
Most importantly, the thing about Spain was though that we watched collectively like 40 films.
100%.
It's a vacation, so we can do whatever the hell we want.
Okay, goddamn! Enough of your silent vocal judgments.
We did it. There's lots of homework done. You might hear some titles that you'll see in the feed coming up.
That's right.
But first of all, if you could give Spain a rating out of 10, what would you give it? Go on. I don't want you to qualify it. Just tell me right now.
6.
Wow, that's so low.
Yeah, because you should see the shit movies I watched, dude.
Well, that's not Spain. That's
films.
not Spain's fault, though.
Oh, you mean? Oh, okay. Well, like you didn't let me qualify it because it was gonna be like,
we're rating the country.
Oh, okay. 5.
Wow.
They got too much ham. That's the problem.
They love ham. They also don't speak English.
That's okay. That's actually a relief.
And they don't. Well, kind of, but like they actually don't do enough to see to my needs as a non-Spanish speaker.
Yes, God.
And if they could kind of get that together,
please,
it would easily be a 7 out of 10.
Don't they know we're visiting? Come on now.
Donde está visiting?
Yeah.
Tourism.
Hey, how you say travel?
How you say jam on in my mouth? Spain's nice. We watched a lot of movies.
Hell yeah.
We
ate a ton of food.
Spain, again, so much like Italy, I think Spain in a couple of years will be a huge tourist destination. I think we were the first. We were one of the firsts.
Yeah.
I think it's an up and coming country.
True.
That is pretty underrated. Like, I think that the perception of it is that it doesn't have a lot going on.
No. They're just like,
Except-
Spain is too chill and boring.
They're
No
just
one
like, oh my
goes
God,
there."
isn't everyone just napping there? And it's like, well, yes. But
Yes.
they are also eating way too late in the evening because they're crazy.
That's why their cholesterol and blood sugar levels are out of whack, and they need to be taking afternoon siestas.
Yeah. Any country that the general public is like, I want to sit down and eat at 11 p.m. at night, you're not going places.
It's not going to go good for you.
Like, you want to do that when it's dark, even in the summer. Like, what are you doing?
Stop it.
What are you doing?
Stop it.
I just want to be clear. Spain is amazing. It's like one of the best places.
Keep going on.
One of the best places I've ever been to.
Yeah.
We did nothing to respect the culture of cinema there. We didn't even watch a Pedro Almodovar movie.
No.
We talked to that one girl who wants to be an actress.
Yeah.
On our first
she thought
day.
I was a local, so bazing.
Yeah, because you were killing it with your Spanish.
It's true.
You were like, un el coffee, please, please-o. And they were like, wow, did you grow up here? Yeah.
El Pleaso.
El Pleaso coffee. And I was like, je ne sais quoi. So, but most importantly, we watched a ton of movies.
That's what's
because
important.
we're not fun to go on vacation with.
I think we're extremely
spend
fun.
a lot of time watching movies. However, a good bunch of these was on the plane. So do you want to exchange films here?
I'm ready.
Because we watched some together and we watched some separately.
Yeah. We should do, just tell me your plain movies one.
We should start with something very important.
What's up?
Which will be very old news by the time this comes out. But we went to see El Killer in El Teatro. Thank you, Netflix, for having only 3 fucking showings of one of the best movies of the year, being like, oh yeah, you don't want to see this incredible film in the theaters? We want you to watch it on your phone. You should watch it on your phone. We did all this work. We worked with the best living filmmaker in the world, so you could watch this movie on your phone in segments, because we're Netflix and we hate you.
Well, they're like, when we get rid of Mindhunter and we get rid of anything worth a shit, you're gonna...
I'm sure they're gonna cancel The Killer, honestly.
Yeah. It's gonna last for all of 5 minutes before it gets shoo-shooed.
The Killer was great. It's probably one of my favorite movies of the year. I've watched it a couple times since.
Since you've been back, or?
I've watched it one time since I've been back. I'm gonna watch it again because I got Netflix for a month because I was like, I couldn't spend 2 days in Zaragoza without Netflix, so I bought Netflix and then canceled it immediately. But in the meantime, I watched. I was like, I gotta stuff in another viewing of The Killer, at least one.
Yeah.
Gotta watch Mank again. And newsflash, Mank rules.
Who knew?
Still fucking.
Hey.
I did not like Mank that much the first time I saw it, and I really like it now.
Okay. And I'm about to find out because I'm
We're
going to
gonna go
watch
see-
Citizens Kane. I'll figure out how to say it after I see it. Citizen Kane for the first time. And
Yeah.
then I'll watch Mank.
We're gonna go see Citizen Kane the way it was intended on our phones.
On-
No, we're gonna go see it.
airplane.
We're gonna see it at the theater.
Yeah.
I mean, because we're gonna go to this theater and we've been to this theater and they do good things. The VIF Theater in Vancouver fucking rips, and it
Shout out
shows
VIF.
good stuff, and it's like such a great alternative to Cineplex, which is the monopoly of theaters in Canada.
Yeah.
And everyone should go out and support them monetarily. And I say that as a person who doesn't do that. I don't do that at all. You
do it with your presence. You pay for tickets all the time.
Yeah, but like everyone should go out and donate a lot more than I end up paying.
Right.
They should do more than I do, and I will judge them individually for not doing that.
Anyone who doesn't have a podcast should be putting all their money into local cinema.
Yeah.
All right?
I'm going to sit at home and I'm going to pirate films.
Cool.
But you please go out and support your repertory theater.
You're watching it in the cinemas of the airplanes.
Yeah. So speaking of airplane films,
Yeah.
on our first leg of the journey,
Yes.
I started off, and I told you before we got on the plane that I was very excited to watch one movie. Do you remember what that movie was?
Barry Lyndon?
No, that was on the way back.
God damn it.
Okay, I was very excited to watch
Blackberry?
at just how the director intended Avatar 2: The Way of
Oh,
Water.
for fuck's sake.
And
Christ.
James Cameron had always said, he's like, like 3D in theaters is great, but I've always wanted you to watch it on a plane. It's a better experience. And so I rewatched The Way of Water.
I cannot believe
that
it.
movie fucks hard
Jesus
and
Christ.
fast and wet. And it fucking rules.
No. Oh, it's a terrible trio.
I love
to
it.
explain that way.
And then, okay, so do you want me to keep going?
Go on.
I'll keep going.
Tell me your list, and
Okay.
then I'll tell you mine.
No Hard Feelings, the new Jennifer Lawrence movie.
Right.
Loved it. I thought it was
Okay.
very good. I love Jennifer Lawrence in that. It's one of the best movies she's done since Red Sparrow.
Hell yeah. Okay.
Blackberry, I regret that I never saw it in theaters. Blackberry is one of the best movies of the year.
Amazing.
Mark it. Movie fucking rules.
For that reason, I avoided watching it on the plane because I want to see it on a bigger screen. So I'm not going to see it.
Very good.
Decided not to.
No, I watched I split The Way of Water because it's 400 hours long and our flight was, forever.
Yeah.
But I watched The Way of Water. I watched half of Barry Lyndon. Again, a little movie by a little known filmmaker named Stanley Kubrick that nobody's seen. That movie also is incredible. I was very impressed with it.
Just collectively like 9 hours between two films.
I watched half of it on the flight there and half of it on the flight back.
Damn.
And it's so good. And then as I was passing out, I watched Easy A. And I love that movie, so I couldn't really sleep because I fell asleep for about 10 minutes at the start.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I got my second wind, and then I watched the whole thing. And that movie is excellent. I love that movie.
Is it just around when Stanley Tucci was like, "No, who told you you're adopted?" The most beautiful, like, parental interaction.
As soon as I remember Stanley Tucci was in that movie, I was like, I have to pay close attention. Yeah.
Excellent.
And then, so those were my plane movies.
Perfect.
What did you watch?
I started strong with quintessential plane movie, Hypnotic, with Ben Affleck.
Well, that doesn't quite count because I know you never finished it.
I 100% abandoned it in 10 minutes.
I saw you watching it.
It was so bad. It was immediately abandoned. Couldn't sit through it. One emoji.
We've been on 2 long vacations together, so 4 collective flights. And one of my favorite things, to be honest, is watching you decide on things without my input. Not that you need it, but I'm just like, what does Pri do when I'm not around?
Yeah.
And for all intents and purposes, I'm not around for these flights. And watching what you decide to watch, I'm like, what is going on?
You're about to see. It's going to get more and more unhinged as we go on. Okay. So after I abandoned that, I was like, all right, I got to spice this up with some Bollywood. But I didn't want to watch the movie. I just wanted to listen to some of the songs in it. So I threw on Devdas, which is a classic, and just to see the little dance action.
Yeah.
And so I fast forwarded.
I saw you doing
4
that.
hours of that movie just to get to like 6 songs that I wanted to see.
While you were watching that, I considered rewatching Polite Society while we were on the plane because that movie was very good. I liked, and it had the dance in it. Right?
That's right. Yeah. Polite Society pulls that very famous song from Devdas and the choreography, so it fucking rips.
If you guys haven't seen Polite Society, it's a very good movie.
It's
very
fantastic.
Fun.
Yeah.
And also, not to skip ahead, but Bollywood kind of had a huge influence on the latter part of our trip because of a certain film that we watched. You don't. Okay, I'll get to it.
We'll come to it.
I'll get to
it. You got to jog my memory. Okay. Right after, and I was like, all right, come on, let's tighten this shit up. I want to see something riveting. Okay, I want some war action. I want to see some moving. And so I'd never before seen Darkest Hour.
Oh yeah.
And it was what a revelation.
I like Darkest Hour.
It is so good.
I think we should put a disclaimer on because I'm gonna get to a movie later. While you're on the plane, everything seems way better. And way more emotionally impactful.
Yes.
But yes, I do like Dark. I don't think Darkest Hour was like amazing, but I like that movie. I liked it more. I thought I wouldn't like it when I saw it first.
That's why I avoided it for so long because I thought it would be dull.
I kind of thought it would be like Vice.
Yes. Thank you. Exactly
but
right.
It's better than Vice.
And it is. Yeah. It's incredible. And I'm just regretting that I didn't get to see it on like a bigger screen. But I think there's a greater level of focus when you watch it in a plane. Because your eye line doesn't kind of waver too much.
Yeah, you have nothing better to
do. You're kind of locked in, no internet. So perfect.
There's only 3 things I do on planes: watch the movies I'm watching, watch the movie you're watching, or look around and see what other people are watching.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, what other? Like, should I be throwing on Synecdoche, New York? And I was like, immediately abandoned the thought. I was like, no.
That's a very pleasurable and enjoyable film that makes you want to live.
Not one more time. I do not. But if they had adaptation, I looked for it.
Did they have Synecdoche?
They did not.
Oh, I would have watched that. Probably.
I would have watched that. Yeah. But like, I wanted to see adaptation because I've only seen it once.
I love that movie.
And I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out to my guy. And then I was like, okay, now it's time for some more elevated because now we're talking, right? So, Oscar winning or nominated Green Book.
Well, you put it on your screen and you kind of gave me a like, what do you think? And I was like, well, we're going to talk about the Academy Awards in a couple short weeks. We're going to be talking about them. a movie, and this movie we're doing today, Vice, will be in that discussion. So
That's
it's good
right.
to watch it. And I told you have to watch Green Book between then and now.
Yeah.
You can't not.
Totally. So I was like, okay, I'm going to get a head start on it. And I threw it on. And within 10 minutes, I turned it off.
Green Book, and we'll talk more about this, but it's an incredible object of something.
It went somewhere else. And it took so long. And it was only a few minutes in. It was like 5-10 minutes in. I judged it very harshly.
It continues to go other places.
Oh,
but,
boy.
yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we'll
and
come around
hey,
to it.
free preview to our Academy Award discussion for later in the year.
Maybe
early next year.
I'll come around, circle back to Hypnotic, finish that,
Yeah.
get over to Green
Yeah.
Book. And we're doing like collectively like everything we saw there and back on the plane, right? So Prometheus.
Oh, on the back, you want to do back? Because I haven't done back on the plane yet.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in the way that I said, like, things on the plane kind of hit you harder and get you a little more emotional, I watched Zoolander, and there was a moment where when John Voight at the end is like, "That's my son," I was like, I know he is. John, I know he's your son. So I watched Zoolander because I thought I just had to fall asleep, but like I couldn't.
Yeah.
And then I watched to stay awake, I watched Children of Men, which is still 110% perfect film.
Oh my gosh.
Like an endlessly incredible movie.
Oh.
I watched the D&D movie and I really liked it.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really like it. I thought it was good though.
Okay.
It was fun.
Yeah.
It's
Which
silly.
you've been avoiding for a while because you thought it would be too silly.
Well, I haven't been actively avoiding it. I just never really was like, I gotta go out and watch it. No matter, sorry to everyone who told me you should watch it. I was like, I might not.
And then you did.
And then I was on a plane, and it's a silly film, and it is okay with how silly it is. And it's like, yeah, we are silly. And I'm like, okay, good. I appreciate that. Because like there's lots of other silly films where they're just like, no, we're serious.
Yeah.
And we're about stuff. Silly.
Speaking of serious, on the flight there, I discovered a little show called...
Can we save that for the end?
But okay. But just know that I saw that.
It's about a silly guy. And I just want to... It's a documentary about a silly fella.
He's very serious.
Who I think has been scapegoated by the media. And when we watched this one episode, I was like, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Oh boy. Okay, we'll come back to it.
Yeah, and then I watched half of The Perfect Storm, which I've seen like a million times.
Yeah.
It's a silly, another dumb, goofy blockbuster movie. And then I watched half of Asteroid City.
Yeah,
and I want to talk a little bit about Asteroid City because I finished it.
Yeah.
And hated it.
Oh no, full hate.
I don't like... I don't really like Wes Anderson. But I feel very insecure about the fact that I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't understand.
Yes, because it's a very unpapilar opinion, right? Like,
well, lots of people who I really respect are
people
like
gravitate
really
towards it.
like him, and I'm like, it doesn't do anything for me, which is really rare because as much as I have a podcast that is sometimes about trashing films, I'm actually I'll watch anything. And I also, as this podcast might evidence, is like I actually give a lot of things the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. But Wes Anderson, I cannot get behind.
Do you think it's the formula?
I don't know, because I see objectively how fucking talented he is.
Right.
And how he gets like incredible...
Like the story is great. Yeah.
He gets incredible casts. He writes stuff in interesting ways.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
You're like, but when it's put together, something about it is like not for you.
Asteroid City is such an interesting idea for a film. The way, like, you haven't seen it.
No,
right?
no, it's brand new to me.
Yeah, so like, but like, it's like it starts and they're talking about like it's framed like Asteroid City as a play, and then you're watching the play within the movie, and it's like such an interesting idea.
Okay.
But I couldn't do it. I was like, I don't like this. I don't enjoy it. But I finished it. And it just didn't do anything for me.
It just wasn't your jam. And I like, it's funny because I've seen some of his movies, but the only thing that I absolutely love and adore and stays in my mind is Fantastic Mr. Fox.
It's very like lots of people really like it too.
It's just such a banger. No matter when you see it as a kid or as an adult, like it is second in my mind after Harry Potter for some reason. It's always just there.
Yeah, like I like I wouldn't say I dislike Grand Budapest Hotel. It's like one of those movies where I'm just like, yeah, it's a really good movie, but I'm kind of like, well, I don't want to watch it.
That's fair.
And even though it's weirdly, I've seen Grand Budapest Hotel like 4 times.
I think you may have seen every Wes Anderson film.
I haven't seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, and I haven't seen Life Aquatic.
Okay.
And I haven't seen Darjeeling Limited.
Okay, so
I've
not
seen,
every.
I've seen most of his early movies. Like I've seen Bottle Rocket and Rushmore, and then Moonrise, Grand Budapest. I saw Isle of Dogs, and Grand Budapest in theaters. I went to see them, but then this time with Asteroid City, I was just like, I consider going to theaters, and I'm glad I didn't, because like, and I want to be perfectly clear, like, I'm not one of those people who's just like, actually Wes Anderson sucks.
No,
I'm really not. Like, I'm actually kind of like, I don't get it, and I feel very insecure about it.
Well, of course, it's like me when I'm like, I don't get Taylor Swift. Like, it's just not for me. But of course, like, she's so talented,
but
and of course she's a performer. It's kind of the opposite of like, there's a lot of people whose opinions I respect who like hate Inarritu, and I'm like, I kind of really like his movies. I kind of think The Revenant's like amazing. It's like such a primitive part of us where it's like, if you hate my favorite artist, you hate me, which is not the case.
Well, I just, Wes Anderson, as I know a friend listening will be like, yeah, John's never really liked Wes Anderson.
John, that's crazy.
Like, but like, we've discussed it at length, and I'm just like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Great filmmaker who I just don't understand. Yeah.
Fair.
Wes.
Fair.
We can have dinner.
Wes, we know you're listening, so like,
we can have dinner,
love you,
and we
dog.
can hash it out.
Yeah.
You and me and Donna Tart.
It's not you, it's me.
Okay. Your
my return film.
Return.
My one big return film was Prometheus.
A movie that rules. That we talked
good.
about on our Alien Covenant episode, which rules. Yeah.
And I hadn't seen Prometheus in a long time, and we recently covered Alien Covenant.
I've like watched Prometheus twice in like the last like 6 months because I love it. That because of Covenant, I kind of watched. Yeah.
And so having seen Covenant, the context for this is again like refreshed.
Yeah.
And it's so good.
Prometheus is great. I love it. Yeah.
But are you ready for the highlight watch on the plane? The little program.
The House of?
The House of, the one and only.
Are we talking about the House of Hammer that we watched together?
We're talking about the Armie Hammer documentary.
Yeah. Again, about a cool guy that I think the media has really done a disservice to.
So, I knew nothing about it. Okay? I knew the floating, the little like, oh, cannibal, la la la. I knew nothing about this docu.
Me neither. Yeah.
I've not read any reviews. I threw it on. I think this might be the greatest piece of gossips. Like,
I knew that Armie Hammer was a great actor, and maybe he had peculiar tastes, and I just don't think you should crucify a man for it.
Man's got to eat. Oh, Jesus.
I mean,
no.
like, you know, and he's just kind of like, oh, I want to eat you. I want to wrap you up
listen,
in a burrito.
For the first half of the docu, in the pilot, the first episode, they get you going. It's like, oh, he's a handsome guy. The fella's a good-looking guy, and the ladies are. I don't know why he's doing.
He was
that voice.
like peak Armie Hammer.
Yeah. And so even when they have, the survivors of whoever's crossed paths with Armie Hammer, the women talking about it, the gravity of the docu doesn't hit you until like the end of the first episode, after which is incredibly sad.
Can I say I thought that one episode, because I was like, I don't care about the rest of his family.
I didn't want to see the rest.
We just watched the first episode.
Yeah.
I thought that when all that news broke, all I knew about Armie Hammer was that he had this like fetish, right? Yeah. And that's kind of where I stopped. I didn't realize he had sexually assaulted anybody. I didn't realize those accusations came to light.
Yeah.
I'm not making light of them, but for a lot of the first half of the documentary, you're just kind of like, he has a fetish.
Yep.
And this documentary comes across as a little puritanical in its kink shaming.
Yes.
But I'm not saying he didn't do anything wrong.
Because it made it seem like it was consensual.
Because so when all of that like fetish stuff came out, it was like, whoa, that's crazy. That's like wild.
Yeah.
You know, like that he has this fetish and that these have come to light. But then when you see the original woman who he had the very longer relationship with, and then she talks about the time where she's like uncomfortable, like they cut, like she wouldn't talk about something that happened.
Yeah, that's how traumatic it was.
Too traumatic for her. And when you hear about that, you're just like, okay, maybe it's not just a kinky fetish.
No.
Thing. And then it gets
then
a
it's a crime.
Like, yeah.
It turned into a crime so fast.
Yeah, and then I'm just like, he's just a cool dude, and cancel culture is real.
I mean, look at the way he texts. What a guy. So relatable. I just found it so hilarious the way they did the text chain and the way they showed it, like zoomed in. where I don't know, just something about it was more comical until it wasn't.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, watch the first half of the first episode and then never interact.
Like watch
with
the
them.
whole thing because like honestly the first half like it is a little bit like so he's got like an insane fetish, like not like an insane, but like he's got an extreme fetish kind of. And maybe he's not the best partner at his fetish, but like it as if you want to be a little sex positive, it's a little bit like, I mean, you don't have to fuck the guy. But then later you do find that there was non-consensual stuff involved. That's where it gets
it's
kind of
force,
like,
right?
Okay, I see.
Okay.
And as someone who's very disconnected from the world of news and celebrity gossip, I didn't know that going into the documentary. I was just kind of like, what? He just wants to eat you. What's the big deal? What's the big deal?
Just give him a little chomp.
Who hasn't dated someone they wanted to eat every once in a while?
That's true. I can relate.
Yeah. Just like the arm.
Just like a little nibble, dude.
You can still function in society.
Sometimes you got to get a little chomping.
Yeah. So, but then in El Spano, the country, that is a silly place where they don't speak language correctly. That's so dumb. We watched a bunch of other movies.
Yes.
Together and apart.
Yes. Do the ones that we did together. What did we watch together?
I didn't really separate. I just kind of put them down in order.
I separated it.
Wait, no. Let's talk about the ones we did apart. As I do on every holiday, I watched Gone Girl to get me just amped up to be alive.
So strange.
I watched National Treasure, which fucking is incredible. You were in the room, but you didn't partake in one of the best films from 2007, Shooter. I watched Shooter.
I don't think I had a choice to not partake. It was very much...
That movie grabs you. Like Army Hammer dating. Know, it really gets you. Shooter. And then most of Inside Man by myself.
Yep.
Which is an important film because of its Bollywood implications.
That's right.
Because it opens with... Spike Lee is a genius for opening with the song Cheya Cheya.
Bam.
From Dilse?
Yeah,
is
that's
that what
right.
it's called? Dilse?
That's right, yeah.
That song rips hard.
Shout out A.R. Rahman.
Oh, it's so
what a producer.
Good, dude.
Hell yeah.
And that Inside Man is... Clive Owen was fucking ripping at that time. Inside Man is also, in my opinion, kind of a perfect movie. And he did it like the same year as fucking Children of Men. Clive Owen was on a fucking tear. Yeah. And then I watched by myself because it's been so long and I saw it in theaters and I love it. I watched Lost City of Z, which you were super tired and you went and had a nap. Yeah. You missed out. That movie is so good.
Okay.
And you would really like it.
I gotta give it another
You should try and
shot.
find it because you would really like it. I watched, because again, you were napping. I watched Love and Other Drugs, which was fine. I didn't care much for it.
Whatever.
And I watched most of Marriage Story again alone.
Okay.
Another Netflix only movie
that
I had only seen one.
Just all the genres. You got them all.
Not even, and there's still like 10 movies that we watched together.
Some of the ones that I saw without you, obviously Shrek and Shrek 2.
Yeah, I sent you a video of what the Netflix queue being like, what happened? What happened here?
Late night is what happens, folks, when you just have incredibly good taste. One, obviously.
Yeah.
And two, you're eating dinner at fucking 10 o'clock in the night, bro. Like, you're not going to fall asleep.
Oh, my God. Also, in Bilbao, we were there early in the trip, and we were both really jet-lagged because we're old pieces of shit. And I was like half asleep, and you were outside. I thought you had tripped and fallen and like died because you didn't come to bed until like 5 a.m.
6:30,
and you watched all of the House of Usher on Netflix.
Yes,
and
I started this little nondescript show by the very famous Mr. Flanagan. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to fall in love.
We call him Flanners in this.
We call him Flanners, little Mikey Flans, Flam Flam. We saw Hill House together? No.
No, Midnight
Mass, I think.
We watched a bit of Midnight Mass.
We've seen his works, his works across. And then I thought, I'll give House of Usher a shot. I threw on the first episode, and I just incredibly hooked. Not that it was great. Let me just say, it's a fine show, but it has some bangers. And when you're in Spain, you got to watch the entire show in one sitting.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Yeah.
I started at 10 in the night and came to bed at 6 a.m.
Flanagan's really interesting because, like, he's almost uniformly praised for everything he does. Yeah. And I'm just kind of like, but everything he does is just fine.
Yeah.
There's nothing of his that I've really
I feel
loved.
like this had more zingers than his usual kind of safe dialogue writing.
The Haunting of Bly Manor was
I couldn't
tough.
sit through it.
That
dude.
was
No,
not.
I didn't.
That was legitimately not
Too
good.
dull. Not. Sorry, my guy.
And then like I remember, did you ever see Hush?
Yeah, I thought it was a good concept. I've seen it. I
thought it was incredibly stupid.
It would, but like she's, she can't do it, but she does it.
She's quiet. That's why it's called Hush. But like my one, and maybe I saw this a long time ago, and I clearly never watched it again. But like one of the problems I had was like, wait, why is he doing this?
Because he's a sadist.
But I was like, yeah, but that's not enough. Like I want to know more. I want to know more about what's going on.
But like you wouldn't ask that of Scream. Like any kind of psycho killer just does shit because they're mental.
Yeah, but Scream is good though. Like there's other aspects of Scream that work.
Sure.
I just don't think Hush like
it didn't have the big
it was
reveal.
missing like 10% of something, and I just didn't really grab me in that way. And I was just kind of like, well, it just seems more like a premise than a story. Right. Even though like Flanagan, he's much like Wes Anderson. It's like Flanagan is clearly such a good director and a good writer, but I was just kind of like, I don't know. A lot of his stuff really doesn't blow me away.
Is that for you?
I saw like, what's that the Shining sequel, Dr. Sleep.
Yeah.
And like that movie was like universally acclaimed. And I was like, that was not good at all. I didn't like it. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
It was weird. I didn't like it at all. I saw it on like a preview screening.
The trailer like put me off too. I was like, all right, that's enough of that. But
didn't
House of Usher. I mean, I just wanted to see him call his younger, like Gen Z sibling Gucci Caligula.
Yeah.
so
you don't have to spoil anything if you don't want to. But did the House of Usher fall, or did it stay up?
Oh man, how do I say it without spoilers? I can't. Go watch.
I mean, it is called
The Fall of House of Usher.
in brackets.
Yes.
Okay,
emoji?
So what else did you watch without me?
And then I threw on about 10 episodes of Easy. We kind of in and out kind of watched it together.
Yeah, that
sort
show
of.
fucking rips. It's so
and
good. Yeah.
this like Denzel movie called Little Things with Jared Leto.
I liked that movie. Yeah. I liked most about it except for Jared Leto, which
I think that was my big problem.
Shouldn't surprise any listener to this podcast.
I'm sorry, guys.
We should do that movie on the pod.
Okay, yeah. It took me out, man. I couldn't take it seriously.
Jared Leto's in stupid performance took you out of a film. That's weird. That's really shocking to me.
Well, like even Denzel a little bit. Like, all right, he's just doing the usual. I don't know. It wasn't for me. And then I saw Notting Hill.
Yeah, good movie.
Wholesome.
Very good movie.
I had no idea.
That's our boy Richard Curtis.
There you are.
Yeah.
Only like maybe a decade ago I'd seen it, and still just as good. What's up? Shout out Notting Hill, the place.
Not the film, the place.
Speaking of distances, 8 Mile. Woo!
Fucking good movie.
Hell yeah! I think my favorite part
is it's the rapping, right?
Not even the film itself. Like in the movies, it's great. I started watching it in our hotel room, and then on our flight back, this grandma sitting next to you threw it on.
Okay, you know what's wild about that?
What?
That woman could not speak English.
She did. Sweet abuela.
She was a sweet little Spanish lady.
Yeah.
And because I remember the flight attendant could only speak English and French.
That's right.
And she was trying to say chicken to her.
That's right.
And
she's like poulet.
She's like poulet. Like she
she's
couldn't
like,
say.
I don't know.
But she couldn't say it. But then there was another woman in front of us. They were like a tour group or they were somehow connected because there was a younger woman around our age who came back and was like chatting with her.
Okay.
And I think they were like going on holiday to Toronto. I don't know what the fuck.
Crazy.
I don't know why Spanish people want to go to Toronto ever. That's wild.
Not right.
In Toronto, they eat dinner at 3 p.m. like fucking psychos. Yeah.
Yeah, our days.
Torontonians are mentally ill, all of them. But
represent.
Yeah, and she like her someone else like helped her kind of change the language on the film thing to Spanish. And then the weirdest one is she throwing 8 Mile.
That's incredible that like after changing the language settings, she went and chose 8 Mile to watch in Spanish.
She watched something else before, but then I noticed her watching 8 Mile, and I was like, and she was like 70 years old. And she was a lovely Spanish lady.
What a baller.
But I was like, fuck yeah.
Respect, dude. She's like, 8,000, that's for me. I love that. I walk that much every day. And then last thing I saw was, which you berated me to no end because I did not partake in this joy with you, was talented Mr. Ripley.
Yeah, that was tough too.
I'm sorry.
It was tough
You
that you watched that without me.
I just you were asleep.
One of my favorite movies.
I didn't know how much you
and
wanted
then,
it.
well, more egregious, you wouldn't let me watch it.
Because I just seen it, so you're not gonna watch it
Yeah.
when I'm in the room. Yeah, it's gonna be great when we live together.
Yeah. Fuck.
You can't watch any of this.
I'm gonna get Talented Mr. Ripley on Blu-ray, and it's gonna be
On repeat.
locked in my PlayStation 5 that I just bought. Blu-ray. There's gonna be a little padlock across it, and it's just gonna be Talented
You
Mr. Ripley
crazy.
in there. But together, more importantly,
Yeah.
we watched The Da Vinci Code,
Woo!
Angels y Demonos,
Yes.
and Inferno.
Yeah.
Those movies rip. We're gonna cover them. We don't have to
Yes.
say more about them today.
I know.
Well, excuse me. Let me just clarify that. Angels and Demons
Yeah.
is a better film than you remember.
Yes.
Just trust me on that.
Yes, 100%.
That movie had me fucking going.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Like if you think Da Vinci rules, Angels and Demons, stratosphere.
Yeah.
Mm.
And Inferno?
Brings it down a notch.
What if there was an Inferno? What if there was a pandemic?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if there was a pandemic? Wouldn't that be crazy?
I can't relate.
Yeah, I don't know what that would be like. We watched together because someone needed to revamp their opinion. We watched A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
And I recall very clearly someone shedding a little tear.
Oh, shut up. I
on
was
my
on my
shoulder at the
period.
end.
This ain't nothing. No, it was beautiful.
But A Star Is Born, another movie we're gonna talk about at
Yes.
the Academy Awards, so we'll talk more about that.
Perfect.
Because I don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah.
A Star Is Born is a fucking great film. And
What-
I love it.
Do you want to take a look at something?
Hmm?
Do you want to?
I just want to take another look at you.
What?
I want to take him. You turn him into a fucking wind farm.
Because going this without context, it's just gonna be like what?
I just want to take another look at you.
Hot.
Yeah.
Stop it.
I love that movie. We're gonna talk
Yeah.
a lot about it on that Academy Award episode.
That's right.
It's what it. I think I would say is one of my top 10 of that decade. I
Yeah.
love The Star Is Born.
You are
Still
the
think
biggest
it's-
fan I know.
still think it's great.
Yeah.
But we can talk more about it. And then we watched Pale Blue Eye,
Mm-hmm.
which I liked a lot more than I thought I would.
Me too, dude.
Scott Cooper is like I talk so much
Where'd he
about
come
this.
from?
The thing that baffles me about Scott Cooper is like he's such a good director and he's never made a good movie.
Yeah.
And then a Pale Blue Eye, I was actually like I think this is actually quite good. I enjoyed it. Although like I liked Hostiles. Like I like all of his films and we could actually cover quite a few of them on the pod.
I'm yet
but
to see Hostiles, and I'm very curious to watch it.
He's never really made like a great film. And yet he's so like when you watch his movies, you're just like, yeah, but he's so he makes good film. Like it's really weird. It's a weird
Pale Blue
thing.
Eye is it's like straight out of a fucking gothic book or something.
I liked
it's
it. Well, yeah, it's an Edgar Allan Poe.
it's but
related
like
thing.
it feels like you're reading the book itself, much like Harry Potter.
Yeah, with and little Dudders.
Yeah.
Dudders Dursley. We
Little
watched
Dudders.
then we watched Outlaw King again.
Beauty.
Good movie. I like Outlaw
Yeah.
King. It's
Shout out Scotland.
not perfect, but it's good. Then I mean, we can say it now. The film we're gonna do next is Coach Carter.
Woo woo.
That movie fucking rules.
I was so pumped.
Speaking of which, one thing I want to say about 8 Mile, which is this is not an original thought. One of the greatest sports films of all time.
8 Mile?
8 Mile.
Oh,
we
yeah,
talked
yeah,
about
yeah.
this.
That's right. That's
It
right.
is clearly
That's right.
one of the greatest sports films ever made,
Yeah.
even though it's not about sports.
It's rap battles.
But Coach Carter rules.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll talk about it more next week. You will hear us talk about Coach Carter.
Mm-hmm.
We watched The Wolf of Wall Street, which is kind of impossible. Once you start, it's kind of impossible to stop watching that movie.
I don't know if I watched it fully with you, but it's definitely on the list.
Yes.
Yes.
A movie that weirdly I actually don't love, because I love Scorsese, and Wolf is one of the ones that I don't love that much.
Yeah.
And yet I'm still like, I love watching this film. Like it's
Yeah.
still like a better movie than most, but like it's one of the Scorseses that I would rank lower than many others that might surprise you. Yeah. Like Silence. I love Silence.
Good, of course,
and then
of course.
very importantly, we watched The Godfather 1 and 2, which you've never seen.
A first for me.
First time.
Never seen The Godfathers.
Il Padrino.
Somehow co-hosting a movie pod, like crime, doing crimes.
Yeah.
mob crimes.
I actually told you on the trip that I was like, I'm gonna fire you from the podcast.
You're letting me go.
If you don't see The Godfather and Citizen Kane.
Yeah, and mid.
If you,
Just kidding.
If you, I was like, if you don't rectify these problems, you're gone, and I'm gonna get a different Priyanka.
I know,
and we're not even gonna mention it. We're just gonna pretend. I'm just gonna be like, and yeah, you're Pri.
Are you gonna have like a sock puppet on your other hand? We're like, yeah, I have takes.
No, it's just gonna be like my brother, but
in doing
just
my
gonna
voice.
Pretend it's Pri. No, not even pretend.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out Jace. He'll do a great job.
Actually,
I know it.
I'll just record myself being like, oh, this movie's dumb. I'm Pri.
8 Mile's a sports movie, like sport match, because they do the battles.
8 Mile, more like suck my dick. It'll be you with like the worst opinions ever.
It's true.
Yeah.
So only a slight change from what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Whew. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like, I loved it. Both.
So now,
great.
yeah.
I see it. I see where every other mob movie got the inspo.
I don't want to be controversial. Those movies are pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think in years, much like Spain, in years to come, people will kind of be like, oh yeah, these are really good. They're not really like people don't really know about them now.
People don't really know about Spain, but
like later, like people will be like, have you ever heard of The Godfather? It's by Francis Ford Coppola and Coppola?
Yeah.
And people will be like, no, I've never seen it.
Have you seen Sofia Coppola's dad's films? Like, what a guy.
It's like, he's the dad of the lady who made the Bling Ring.
Yeah. Bling Ring fucking rules.
Yeah.
Okay, I know we're going to talk about it at some point, but yes.
Yeah. But The Godfather is good.
Yeah.
That's a controversial statement. The Godfather films are good.
Shock.
Yeah. And now everyone knows how terrible it is to travel with us because we
you miss
spend time watching films most of the time. What was the
Chef?
I missed? Oh, that's like, but Chef is on right now.
That's true. Yeah. Chef is just like nonstop on because Chef fucking rules.
Yeah, I will say, like, kind of by the end of the trip, there was like points where I was like, okay, I'm ready to go home.
Yeah.
And we threw on Chef at some point, and then I was watching the Chef show on Netflix as like just throwing something on.
Right.
Like I was literally listening to podcasts while the Chef show was on, just watching them make food.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Chef fucking.
Even like it's just ambient cinema.
I saw Chef in theaters.
Yeah.
I've seen it 100 times.
Yeah.
It's a great film.
It's my favorite sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
Of it. Yeah.
Is the science fiction the part where he sleeps with Sofia Vergara and Scarlett Johansson?
100%. 100%. Man bags them both. Yeah. Talent.
My boy John knows how to fuck.
He can get it.
Man. So we spend way too much time talking about that, and now everyone wants to hear us talk about Vice.
It might be a two-parter, you thinking?
Nah, fuck it. They can get the whole thing. They can unitary executive theory my balls, baby. Vice. This movie I saw in theaters. I liked it. I don't like it very much anymore. No. I see what people thought about it, but I don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
It's hard to not compare it to The Big Short.
100%.
And I think The Big Short fucking rips.
It wins over it.
The Big Short.
Yeah. It's it tries to do satire more than it tries to do drama, and it doesn't nail it either way.
It doesn't nail anything it wants to do.
No.
This movie is very dissatisfying, I think, is the problem.
That's a very good word for it.
It's every aspect of it falls short.
Yep.
And I really like Adam McKay, and he's done a lot of really good movies. And this movie, like, the further and further away we get from that political moment, which the movie came out in 2018.
Yeah.
2018? Yeah, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Dead in the middle of, like, the Trump era.
Mm-hmm.
And every, like, really annoying liberal person just needs, like, a wet dream in the theater to be like, yeah, Republicans are bad. Have you noticed?
Oh my God.
Haven't you noticed how bad they are?
I feel like when
this movie is great because they tell me that Republicans are bad. And it's like, okay, thank you. Like, need it. Thank you for that. Yes.
That's great.
Thank you. Hit me on the head with your hammer one more time.
Well, everybody wants that mouthpiece. Anyway, I remember, like, when it came out.
Everybody wants that mouthpiece.
Oh, gross.
Dick Cheney. Everybody wants my mouthpiece.
I wish I could, just, like, video.
Hey, gang, take me to the hospital. Need my mouthpiece looked at.
Gross.
Yeah.
When this came out, everybody suddenly knew everything about Dick Cheney, and I was still just this kid in India. And, as a young person, I don't give a fuck about Dick Cheney because I don't know nothing about him.
Did you know a lot about him?
I only knew about him when I got into college. Like when I actively took an interest in all right, America's fucking shit up. Let's learn more about this country. And then just like through self curiosity, you learn about like how this bi-party system works and all of that. This is even during the Obama years, even before that. But during Cheney's timeline, we were 11 or whatever, right? Probably. Well, I don't know, 2008. So yeah,
I was like aware of him as a bad guy because he was the
vice
president of George W. Bush,
of course.
And like we all like knew. So like September 11th happens, and everyone was like, "America, I'm really sorry this happened to you." And then they were like, "Let's go fuck up the Middle East for a couple of years." And very shortly after that happened, you're just kind of like, "Hey, America, what the fuck?" Like,
hey,
it's like not cool. Like, what are you doing? And I think we talked about, because another thing I started watching was we were watching The Boys. I was talking about there's a very clear reference to George W. Bush in The Boys from Homelander, says the thing. And I was like, that was like the height of George W. Bush. That was like his approval rating fucking skyrocketing just shortly after September 11th.
Oh, interesting.
And then after that, everyone was like he got reelected, but it was kind of like, dude, this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
Like you are fucking killing Iraqis everywhere. It's horrible.
Yeah.
What I think was effective about this film when it came out in theaters was like Donald Trump is not a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've said a few controversial things on this podcast. Godfather good, Donald Trump bad.
Not good. Oh.
But like Donald Trump was like, he was like stupid in so many ways.
Right.
And also kind of like smart in the way that he could make people freak out about him.
Right.
Dick Cheney, the scary thing about him was he was like very good at politics.
Yes.
It seems. Like
he's menacingly good.
Yeah. And without having to be like, I think that's illustrated in the scene where they're talking about that terrorist and he's like, well, go pick him up.
Yeah.
And it's like he can just do it.
Yes.
He just does it.
Yeah.
And that's what's very scary about him. The thing, like, when looking back on the Trump era, you're kind of like, oh, so this country has a head of state who's a complete fucking moron, who's filled his like staff with a bunch of complete fucking morons. But when you think back to Cheney, you're just like, this guy was a very smooth political operator.
Yeah.
And, well, we all knew he was, like, bad. It was just kind of like, well, tough shit.
Yeah, well, especially when it's things that affect the rest of time going forward. Because if one administration has the power to be like, I can have all the Supreme Court judges vote red, oh, that's it. Like, there's no going back from that. Or if you can give ultimate, whatever, that power, judicial power to like one person, which is the president.
Unitary executive theory.
There you are. Like
the
giving the emperor's rule to one single person, even though there's two full parties in sitting at the time.
Should we explain how the movie explains it?
Let's explain it.
The unitary executive theory as explained by the film. Now, I just want to be clear. I am not a lawyer nor a political scholar of any sort. The way the film explains it is that there is a theory that it's like, if the president does it, it's legal by grace of the fact that they do it.
Yeah.
Can't be illegal. So like it, and then also the thing that Cheney like took advantage of was the fact that like there you could argue in law, which is always a very clear cut and dry. Like you could argue that the vice president was, because it's like both part of the executive and legislative branch, that
he's
not
judged
actually
by
part.
either.
They're not actually part of either, so they have a lot of power.
Right.
That's the crux of this film.
So when they say that if the president does it, it has to be legal, or it has to be right, the president can kidnap someone, torture them, keep them forever, kill them. That would still all be legal.
One of the problems with the movie is that Dick Cheney really, his legacy really comes into crystallization after September 11th.
Yes.
And this movie spends about 20 minutes on September 11th and post-September 11th. Yeah. And so much time on other shit where I'm just like, I don't fucking care. I don't care about this.
No.
I've watched this movie like 3 times in the previous weeks because you had to watch it and stuff. Every time it fucking opens with Christian Bale in that bar, and you're just like, this is Dick Cheney as like a young man. I'm just like, I don't fucking care about any of this.
Well, of course,
this
right?
is so annoying. Like it suffers from this biopic problem where it's just kind of like, I don't need to know everything about this guy's life. Just pick a time, which is the irony is that like Dick Cheney was part of one of the biggest things in American history. And they're just like, no, we got to tell a bunch of stuff about his life.
We got to talk about him drinking.
I don't
home.
care about that.
I
don't care.
Which is why The Big Short rules, because it doesn't go into all that shit about like, where were we when we were 6?
The Big Short is about an event. It's not about a person, though, right?
Right.
The problem. So many biopics do this, which fucking drives me crazy, which we're going to talk about sometime because I've had new thoughts about A Beautiful Mind, but A Beautiful Mind kind of affected this, where it's like these biopics, they're like, let's tell you everything about this guy's life. And it's like, none of that fucking matters.
Right.
And the best biopics are the ones where there's a crystallizing event that is important to their life. And the most boring ones are the ones that try to eat too much of the sandwich and they just end up not really doing much. And it's frustrating. And this movie suffers from that a lot.
I wonder if it isn't so much about when they show Cheney's past, him as a younger person married to Lynn Cheney.
Yeah.
It's more for her. It's more about her impact on his life because she is the one holding the rod and kind of whipping him into shape. When he's drunken and getting DUI, she's like, I will leave you for a better man unless you sort your shit out and take over America. So maybe just to sort of illustrate that, they could have gone into the past a little bit.
Yeah,
but they do keep going about it forever.
I think it's important to illustrate how much of an influence Lynn Cheney has on Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
And Amy Adams, she just focused on every annoying middle-aged white lady and was like, this is Lynn Cheney. And then she comes out and she's like, the problem with her fucking role that I think I mentioned that I said I wouldn't tell you, but I'll tell you now.
Yeah.
She seems like Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, she looks like too. They have the same hair.
Every time she's on screen, I'm just like,
dude,
are you meant to? You look like you look and sound like Hillary fucking Clinton.
I know. And I wonder if it was a little bit like, nudge, nudge.
But the problem at the time was that when this movie came out, we're not 2 years removed from Hillary Clinton losing the presidency to Donald Trump, and you're just like, why is this woman exactly like Hillary Clinton? Like it's so ridiculous.
Hey, maybe they are this kind of similar in person. Like, who knows, right? When you're in that circle and you're surrounded by these vultures and you're undermined by your gender and all that falafel.
I don't know.
You gotta just kind of go ham on your hashtag Southern values.
Your Clintonery.
Your
Clintonery, yeah.
Ugh.
Like, this movie, it frustrates me to talk about because, like, I don't know. It's weird that I did like it when it first came out, and now I've just really turned around on it.
I think because if The Big Short didn't exist, I would have thought, okay, this is how political satires are shot, where you have funny joke credit scenes that rolls in the first half of the movie as a
Which
joke.
Which I think is like funny, but not...
Oh man, it took me the fuck out. It didn't hit for me, but I can see why...
In theaters, it was funny.
In
because
theaters,
you're with a crowd
funny.
And everyone's like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah.
It was funny. But it's just like the movie just doesn't deliver on so many fronts.
I know.
And then, much like we talked about in the Men episode, is like you watch this and you're just kind of like, who the fuck is this for? Yep. Everyone watching this, everyone who's going to the theaters to watch this is like, we know Dick Cheney was an asshole. We know he was a bad guy. We might not know the details, but we know. It's not like people are going and being like, I want to watch a wholesome film about the Cheney family, and I want to learn about one of my Republican heroes. It's like, wait, he was bad, and he allowed people to get tortured.
Yeah,
and
no one's gonna.
It's like you're preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
I just think of like really obnoxious left wing people being like, this is one of the most important cinematic documents because it illustrates how bad Republicans are, and it's like. That's just so... It's just like, who needs this shit at this point? Because everyone is yelling about it at the time.
Yeah.
On the fucking internet. Everywhere you fucking go, you could make it your job just being a person who yells about how evil right-wing people are forever.
Yeah.
And it's like, even me I'm like a fairly progressive person. I'm still just kind of like, who the fuck needs this shit? Like, you don't need a fucking movie to talk about this. Like, it's, the difference between this and The Big Short is like, Well, The Big Short, nobody knew about that.
Yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
knew
yeah.
about a lot of what was happening at
Oh,
that time.
Totally.
And furthermore, like, even The Big Short doesn't do a good job about this, because I actually just reread the book. Lots of people, like, don't really understand the depth of the injustice of the Great Recession.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, like, with this, it was like, it's not even an open secret. Doesn't even do it justice. That is
No.
like, hey, the United States tortures people.
Yeah.
They kidnap them and they torture them, and the president is like,
Greenlit.
watch
that
this
thing.
drive.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, this is cool.
Yeah.
And Dick Cheney was like, I love this. All of them are just like, you know what I mean? And
Totally.
it is like Gen Z or Gen Alpha going to rediscover this movie and be like, can you fucking believe that Dick Cheney did this?
Right.
It's like, no, it's not.
No.
That's not going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's like at face value, you just take it, right? Because and then you might even be desensitized to it because we've all lived through Trump now. And so all of this somehow still feels mild compared to more modern time shit that goes on by like people raiding the Capitol or just like you
Those
and
were
I.
just a bunch of people who were they were concerned about the election results. I won't hear like a raid.
I don't want to. I'm sorry.
coup.
You're right.
These words don't have any place
You're
in this
totally right.
podcast.
Emotional about it. They were feeling emotional.
They were exercising their right to protest.
There,
I just want to put it that way. Okay.
Through their face. Yeah, no, you're totally right. Like it's not like any Republican's gonna come and watch this film and be like, I am transformed.
I've changed my mind about DC.
Yeah.
Can I? The other big problem I have with this movie, and I've thought a lot about this in the recent times. One of the big things, we'll kind of go into the plot, but there's not a lot of plot to talk about. Like it's all so okay. When you're doing a movie about an anti-hero or a villain, maybe much like a hero has to rise to a point beyond what you believe they're capable of, and a villain has to sink to a point that's so despicable beyond what you believe that they're capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And they try to do this in this movie by illustrating the fact that Mary Cheney is gay.
Yeah.
And at the time, gay marriage wasn't even legal. Fucking Obama made it legal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Republicans have to be like, no, gay marriage is bad.
Yeah.
Don't gay marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Not on my watch, kind of thing, right? And Cheney finds out that Mary Cheney is gay. And he says, like, don't worry about it. I don't care. Which I don't, like, believe it or not, whatever, right? He's like, you're still my daughter. It doesn't matter to me. Mm. Which I think it's reasonable to believe that there are a lot of people who are, like, right-wing who are just like, I don't give a fuck about, you can marry whoever you want. Like, I don't give a fuck about the issue of gay marriage. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people yelling about gay marriage and stuff. But, like, I think there are a lot of people who are reasonable about it, just being like, it's just a thing. Like, I don't care.
Sure.
I care more about lowering taxes or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think it's reasonable to believe that Dick Cheney felt that way.
Right.
Then in the end, he kind of turns on her and like,
you
know, and that's the lowest sinking point of the low. But that the thing is like, in the end, when you're just like, oh, wait, you're telling me that a Republican is a massive fucking hypocrite? Oh my God. Oh,
right.
You're telling me that a Republican politician is an extreme hypocrite. You're blowing my mind over here, man. It's so dumb and unsurprising because like, even at that point, there's so many Republican politicians who come out. You're just kind of like, they rail against all of these problems and they're like in the closet or like whatever, you know? Like it's so, and it was just so like, yeah, I know, I'm not surprised in the least.
It wasn't even so much his hypocrisy. I think it's just him choosing politics over the family. Like
he's like choosing power.
He chose
over,
Liz Cheney, the, trying to go up in politics, who Mary's sister herself is like, I'm against gay marriage. And like, even though my sister is gay, he kind of has to choose between two daughters. But one daughter is in politics with him who's kind of exactly like him. Yeah. So he just chose himself, right? It's self-preservation over anything else.
I think like so I read a couple reviews and one that I thought was really interesting was like this, it was like this back and forth. It was on Vox. It's this back and forth between two film critics, Alyssa Wilkinson and Emily St. James. And they were like kind of like going back and forth about what they disliked about the film. The idea that this guy will kind of do anything to remain in power. Yeah. In like a position. Like they highlighted the fact that even through many political defeats, he still crawls his way back into the halls of power. Mm-hmm. Him and Rumsfeld, like him and Carell are just kind of like buddies who they're like fucking black mold. You can't get they're like bed bugs in the White House a little bit.
Yeah, which he calls himself that.
I thought was really interesting because Emily St. James brought up a point that I never really thought about. The heart donor thing, which is the framing device of the film, is that Kurt, who is played by Jesse Plemons, is the narrator of the film. I don't think he does a very good job. I don't like the idea.
Yeah.
But the idea of the fact that like Cheney suffered many political deaths and literal deaths and just fucking keeps coming back, I thought was actually really interesting.
Like his heart doesn't give in.
If he was an ideologue, he would not survive. But because he's just kind of like,
relentless,
I go the way the wind blows.
Yeah.
And then use, like, in the time that I'm there, I use it to cement myself further.
Yeah.
That's what's, like, frightening about the fact that he chooses his not gay daughter over Mary, right? And I thought that was really interesting. But, I don't think the movie fucking does a great job of that.
Because, like, if he were to forego his, like, values, right? Which, from day one in the movie, they established that his sole purpose in life is to make it into the White House. He's, like, charged by his wife to do it, by his family, like he's berated by his peers.
Yeah, can I just, Lynn, it is the best fucking feeling in the world. Yeah, that's what he says. Yeah.
Oh my God, through gritted teeth. God, so good.
Yeah.
Stop it.
When he gets in the White House.
That's what
nice. He says.
Yeah, man. You know how we watched that Blue Zones documentary, whatever, and it's like, oh, old people eat vegetables and yams, and then also you will die if you don't have a purpose in life.
Yeah.
And
I'm just like, do it.
just do it.
Like
and he's like,
if you're old, just do it.
My purpose is like bring death in the world. And he does it. And he does it so well that he just infiltrates himself into Halliburton and the government.
Yeah.
And like, why would he all of a sudden be like, yeah, but my baby girl's sad because I didn't acknowledge her, marriage. He's not going to give a shit.
I think like one of the frustrating and most effective parts of this movie is it at the end when he gives that monologue to the camera. It's unfortunate because the movie isn't effective enough to warrant that monologue.
No.
But I do think that monologue is really good.
Yeah.
Because in the end, you're just kind of like, he believes this. Like,
yeah, he's got like a tear in his eye.
Like the part where he's just like, it's my privilege to keep your families safe.
Yep.
And I'm just kind of like, that's what you have to believe.
Yep.
To think it's okay to waterboard people. Like,
yeah, dude.
To be like, it's okay to just waterboard these guys in Guantanamo Bay. And like, that's what's very chilling about the film. He has to fool himself into believing that.
He has to kind of think of everyone except his own people as animals, as others.
It's frightening because of like how calculated you have to be.
Yeah.
It's like, this is better than this. Therefore,
fully.
this I believe. And that's like the scary thing about it, I think. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Like a really strange part, I think they do a really good job is when they show the family eating dinner outside on the table. And it's like a family dinner. I don't know if it's Thanksgiving or what. And he's just talking to this little kid in the family, but he's just making casual chat. I don't know. I can't imagine like a very powerful grandparent, like, or the Indian prime minister even, just having like a chat with, or like dictators being like, how was your day? Like, they're not going to give a shit.
There's a really weird thing about how like evil and I don't even know if I want to say evil, but just like how distasteful people could be in public office. And then you're kind of like, yeah, the guy's still like a grandpa or whatever. It's kind of like,
he's still alive, eh?
I don't know if this is true or not, and I can't verify these facts. This is just rumors, but like I heard he waterboarded one of his grandkids.
That's just God. It was Independence Day. It's what they do to celebrate it.
Say
you're sorry.
For Christmas, he got them a mini waterboarding kit. Just like, waterboard your friends.
They thought it was a seesaw.
You can't kill them,
but it's not.
Yeah.
It's functional.
It's a towel and a big bucket of water. I think that Sam Rockwell isn't very good in this.
He's very hammy.
But I will say that
Ham Rockwell in this.
Sam Rockwell's run of playing a virulent racist and then George W. Bush and then a Nazi all in a row is
man.
like, that's something to be behold, really.
He nails the accent. What's up? Like, you could have told me he's from there and I'd be like, yeah, I understand. Definitely. Is he from Missouri? I believe it.
It's unfortunate he doesn't look anything like George W. Bush.
No. Hey, they nailed the side profile. I was about to say there's a shot of just like his nose and then him sort of addressing the rest of the team to go ahead and bomb the shit out of everyone.
And then waterboard them when you're done, yeah.
And he looks just so convincingly like young Bush. It's
Really?
very well done.
Interesting.
Just because it's like mild lighting, right? So the silhouette is there. And you kind of see the bridge of his nose and the makeup job, terrific. But like, head on, no.
I kind of think that like George W. Bush, great president. No, like I think that he's almost an impossible person to impersonate. There's so much. There's so much about him that's so subtle that like I don't think anyone could do a really.
But
good
he has so
impersonation
many
of him.
tells that even a poor impression is easy to identify as Bush.
Will Ferrell used to do a good impression of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back in the Bush days. And I think I've never seen the Oliver Stone film W, but I don't know if Josh Brolin is probably going to fit the bill. But like, I think like having seen George W, so much of him talking, you're just kind of like, I don't know if anyone could do a very good impression of him.
Like maybe not 100%, but even a poor impression is. Even a good impression seems like a satire.
Yeah.
That a poor impression would just be like such a joke that
on the
it
other
wouldn't
hand,
be taken
like,
seriously.
I want George W. Bush to like narrate audiobooks for the rest of his life or
Totally.
something. Like read me like the Chronicles of Narnia or
Sure.
whatever. Like I just think that would be great.
Well, he's got that little grandpa voice.
He's great.
Yeah.
He's a great president.
He's a chill guy.
He was good. He did all sorts of great things.
Woo-wee.
We love him. I would have voted for him third time if I could.
All right.
No, I'm just kidding.
This has gone on far too long for the audience to be like, wait, this is taking a turn.
I am very progressive and I love George W. Bush.
Is your vice that
Am
you
I-
love Bush?
Yeah, am I full of contradictions? Yeah, but I'm a complicated person. Why don't you give me some credit?
It's true. It's true.
Yeah. Who cares? He
Okay.
he shot a guy in the face, which is also funny.
What? Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
He shot
yeah.
a guy. Which I would say one of the issues I have with this movie is like he shoots a man and then the man apologizes for like being in the way.
Yeah.
Which is hilarious.
Yeah. 100%. That was fantastic.
At the time,
Yeah.
it was horrifying to hear that Dick Cheney shot a man. I
Yeah.
mean, I wouldn't want to shoot a guy accidentally either. But when we're many years removed from it, I'm like, they did not milk this joke enough about how funny it is that this guy went on TV and was like, I'm really sorry you shot me.
I'm sorry I was in the way of your bullet.
Yeah.
Instead of a pigeon, you got my
It's
ear.
like, you did literally everything wrong, but I am sorry that
my
it
God.
ended up with me getting
Yeah.
shot.
I think the best part, though, was that Cheney never apologized for it.
Well, exactly. And the guy
which is
was
just-
like,
my God.
was like compelled to make a statement about it, and Cheney was just like, "Yeah, well, what did I do this weekend? I had one heart attack. I shot a man.
Yeah, it got him so jacked out that it gave him a heart attack.
Taught Lynn how to waterboard her kids if they ever misbehave."
She's surprisingly great at it. Natural talent.
Like father, like daughter.
Ugh.
All right,
There's
gang,
a
let me,
really good.
you better take me to the hospital. Having another heart attack.
It's chilling.
Yeah.
Dick, are you in the room with us? Jesus.
Dick, can you tell us what it's like to waterboard someone right now?
This feels like a Ouija board session.
Feels great.
Oh, sick.
It's kind of more Clint Eastwood than it is Dick Cheney, yeah, but fuck it.
It's there. It's there.
Um,
Your face transforms.
I'm
I like
professional.
it. I saw a little blurb on the Dick Cheney wiki that Liz Cheney made a comment about Christian Bale's performance. Just like she's obviously not satisfied with it. And she said, Bale had a chance to represent a real superhero and he really fucked it up or whatever. So, I mean, I've always like known like kids see their dad as like a superhero or call him a superhero.
It's crazy.
But when grown ass women do it, dude.
But that, okay, like
Ugh.
that, this is fucking why I hate politics so much, is because especially at that time, it's like, there was a time, because so in my opinion, and I don't know about this, I don't know if this is true or not, but like, that someone like Liz Cheney knows that whatever she says, she's got to fit it into a little tweet form, so that, because someone's going to fucking tweet it out and be like, this is what Liz Cheney said about Christian Bale.
Right.
And it's got to be quippy and silly. And yet, like, I feel bad for Republicans and conservatives when they try to like write good stuff, because it's always comes across as just kind of like, who the fuck wrote? Like, did a 60-year-old man who was like, what does Gen Z say about these things? Like, what did they fucking do? It always sounds so dumb. And like, it was like, read could have played a real superhero. It's like, dude, the guy played Batman for 3 films, and then he played your fucking dumbass grandpa. Why don't you fuck off? And you're like upset. You're just like, he wasn't. What did Batman ever do for the people of Gotham?
Yeah. I don't see Batman or waterboarding anyone.
But, like, I mean, he did definitely.
He did definitely did.
Why do you think there's
did.
that waterfall in the back cave in the Nolan films?
There's people under it.
It's for cover and to waterboard.
Yeah, it's just.
But that era of just kind of being like everything has to be a quipable little piece of shit thing that you can tweet out.
Yeah.
Because no one is going to read the context behind this.
There is no long form.
And it just like it just sounds, and I'm not saying that like right-wing people are the only people who do this. It's not true, because there's lots of like really written like goofy left-wing stuff where you're just kind of like, wow, you're really out of touch.
Yeah.
And it just like politicians are just the worst fucking people for that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, man.
It's unfortunate because I'm sure Liz Cheney, I'm not sure, but maybe Liz Cheney was just like, they were like, what do you think of Kristen Bale's performance? Like, what do you want to say to that? And she was like, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then people were like, yeah, but like, what if
what do you think?
What if you give it like a little more buzz and like a little more pizzazz? Because like no one wants to read that. She's like, I really didn't like it.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, but like
the way they showed me.
What if you were to reference something that Christian Bale has done in the past? I thought he seemed like an American Psycho. And then he's like, no, because Dick Cheney was an American Psycho. Like, what if it was something else? It's like,
they just made her go through all of his other movies to make a pun out of the fucking...
He really machinists the role. I think our covering of this film is actually befitting of the film itself, because the film is kind of like a mess, and that's kind of the way we're covering it.
Exactly.
I don't even want to go into the plot.
I don't think we need to, because it's about his life leading up to 9/11, how he takes control of the room, destroys democracy or what's left of it, and does it looking great in the little makeup suit. He looks great.
He won an Academy Award for makeup and hair.
Excellent, yeah. excellent.
A well-deserved. He looks,
unrecognizable.
His quote-unquote transformation is insane.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
But like, when this movie was like nominated for Best Picture, you're just kind of like, what? We don't need 10.
No.
We do not need 10 of these,
10? Got 10? 10 noms?
No, like, we don't need 10 slots in Best Picture if you're...
Ugh.
We don't have to talk about this now, but like 2018 was a year where you're just kind of like, man, there were so many good movies, and these are the ones you chose. Like, it's a wild time. Dude.
Yeah.
Not that there's like, the thing is like a strong year for films.
Yeah.
Not a strong year for awards, in my opinion.
Right.
Which is funny because the 2017, which we did talk about, go back and listen if you want to. I don't know why you would, but you can. Like, that year was actually, I thought, like very like, I hate to use this word, kind of like brave and challenging and interesting.
Right.
And like top to bottom a strong year. And then like 2018, you were like, well, there was lots of good movies, but the Academy.
But they picked Vice out of it? Like,
well, yeah, and Green Book and like lots of movies where you're just kind of like, these are the ones. This is what the governing body of like film taste is like. These are the ones we think are the best. You're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Anyway, we'll talk more about that in a couple weeks.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, Steve Carell killed it. He was so funny.
Did he?
I loved him. I loved how unhinged he was. And because Rumsfeld famously has like stupidest quotes, right? He just says shit.
Rumsfeld was a goof.
Just like
a real goofy guy.
Silly goose, that guy. But I didn't know that he was also menacing in that way. Yeah. I always thought he was stupid.
There's a really good clip I heard, because recently I was re-listening to this podcast called Blowback. No free ad.
Such a good podcast.
This podcast called Blowback about the Iraq War, and they play like clips from the time, and there's like a really funny clip of Donald Rumsfeld because he was involved with like selling weapons to Iraqis or something like that. Yep. And there's like this video of him with, I think, Saddam Hussein. And like someone, like a journalist is like, what do you have to say about this video of you just like hanging out with Saddam Hussein? And like Donald Rumsfeld is like watching, and he's like, oh yeah, there I am.
Oh.
Yeah, that is me.
Oh my God.
It's just so weird.
Oh, it's so strange.
But it's also the perfect response, because you're just kind of like, yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I don't like him now.
That's
but,
me.
Yeah.
That's like that record scratch.
But he was like,
You're wondering how I got here.
He was very much just like, hey, look at that.
Look at that.
You kids dig up the darndest things.
That is the known, Mr. Rumsfeld.
The thing that I think I hated Steve Carell in this, but I do think it's worth like focusing on Rumsfeld in a little bit. Like in the film, I think it's worth having him as an important character because obviously he was.
Yeah.
But like
the reason why I loved him is that he starts off as this guy who's clearly like big swinging dick of the White House, right? He shows
he's like,
Cheney
get out
the
there
ropes.
And get your dick wet, and yeah.
He's like this super confident guy who, I don't know intentionally or not, when Cheney comes into absolute power, it even shakes Rumsfeld a little bit.
Yeah, because Cheney has surpassed him in power. But
like it doesn't make Rumsfeld any less evil in his intentions, but the way his like face changed, like of course he's a good actor and everything, right? Like
Steve Carell
kills it.
I think he's like a solid 3 out of 10. Yeah.
He's a good actor.
Yeah.
But
he's no Sam Rockwell.
But without seeming like, oh, I'm so shocked by Cheney, me Carell / Rumsfeld. Like he didn't have to overplay that, and he didn't.
No.
So even like minute like facial changes or behavioral changes was like interesting to see.
He also Carell kind of like Rumsfeld kind of exits the movie like late in it. The thing that frustrates me a lot is that scene with when he's like, why is Nixon talking to Kissinger in that office kind of thing. And I was like, you know that scene at the beginning? It's like close to the beginning when he's standing outside that office.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And he's like, he's like, oh, it means they're going to bomb Cambodia. And it was like, and then he gives this like little monologue where it's like,
right.
This is so like, it's so written and it's so
true.
It's so one of those things where you're just like, well, this never happened.
Right.
Clearly. And also it's like, and I don't even know if it did.
So much of that movie is like dramatized and
it's
never
also,
really happened.
It's like this little speech where you're just kind of like, this is profound because we know in retrospect what happened.
Right.
But in reality, this is not profound.
Okay.
And then
fair.
right out, it's followed by my least favorite thing in the film, right after where Dick Cheney is like, I'm having a heart. No, he's like, when he says like, oh, what do we believe? And like Steve Carell starts laughing. I'm like, what do you? Like,
he just laughs at him.
It's so fucking lame. It's the thing. It's like shades of a movie where like sometimes the first time I rewatched this movie, I was like kind of frustrated because I was just like, this is so like too serious and not funny enough. And I just want like Dick Cheney to like do a pratfall and like shit his pants or something. And then there's like moments where they like touch goofiness, and I'm just like, well, this doesn't fucking work in the film.
It takes the audience. It treats them like a little kid. Sometimes it's like, hey, do you guys get the joke that we're making? We're making a joke.
It you know what it kind of those kind of jokes remind me of is when we saw Triangle of Sadness.
Yeah,
and like there was like all
dude.
these like real like just fucking low hanging fruit jokes that people were like, can you
Instagram?
believe how funny this is?
Yeah.
It's like, I've never seen something funny in my life before, and this is blowing my balls off. This is unitary executive theory, my dick.
Christ.
This is so funny.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you imagine? Rich people, bad.
But
Republicans, bad.
Who knew? Stop.
Vietnam War, ill-advised.
Mm-hmm.
Like those kind of things. Like I'm just kind of like those are the things that drive me crazy because they're so clearly just meant to suck the balls of these progressive people who like have no thoughts or sense of humor.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like, see, you like this kind of stuff, right? You like this bullshit, and it's like just forcing it down your throat, and you're just like, no, I like things that are actually funny.
They couldn't go full House of Cards with like just serious. And they couldn't do.
Thank God.
Yeah. And which is like advised, right? Like don't do that.
I thought around this time like Kevin Spacey was someone really popular and that they could have hired him for pretty much everything.
I feel like Spacey would have made a great Cheney.
He would have, except he was not in the business of making things anymore. In 2018. Yeah.
Oh shit. Right.
That was the year that we'll talk about this. This is the year that All the Money in the World he got cut out and replaced by Christopher Plummer. Yeah. I believe. Yeah. I think.
Damn.
Was it? Whatever. Who cares? We'll talk about it. I like that movie. I like All the Money in the World.
Yeah.
But they just like they don't go for far enough either way.
And I hated when fucking Jesse Plemons' heart is taken from his body, and he just keeps talking, and it's like, stop it. If you're the narrator, you should just die.
I thought it was like a little ill-advised how they take his heart out and then he keeps talking.
Yes.
And then these CIA guys come in and waterboard him on the fucking...
He still got some life in him.
Shut up, Jesse. You know what? Bad pitch. That would be funny to me.
You're the worst audience. No.
I'm going to write my own movie.
Prick Cheney.
Fucking everyone who's ever watched a movie has said that in their mind, being like, fuck it. I'm going to write my own movie.
I could do this better.
I could write this. I'm going to write my
Adam
own movie.
McKay, what do you know?
Fade in. White House.
Tall, short.
Interior White House day. Dick Cheney's waterboarding fucking Condoleezza Rice.
Can I also say excellent casting, because Condi just...
I thought that was her.
I thought that was her too. And then I was like, I'm racist to think that. But yeah.
Also, I think like... what's his fucking Tyler Perry doing stellar work again, just popping up in a movie, just being like, I'm Colin Powell, and you're just like, I know.
That's just
yeah.
What a treasure, that guy. Just a bajillionaire hanging out.
Yeah, dude. Should we get the fuck out of here? Stop talking about this shit. It's
yeah.
Vice, I think, is like, let me in on this. I think Vice is a movie that's like worth watching.
Yes.
But it's kind of worth getting frustrated over, because I actually don't think that there is a good movie in here.
Yeah.
Because I just don't think Dick Cheney is a subject worthy of an interesting cinematic work. But Adam McKay, I really like Adam McKay. Like,
he's awesome.
I love The Big Short. I really like Don't Look Up. Fucking The Other Guys is probably one of the best movies of the past 20 years.
Yeah.
Like Anchorman. Like, I love his comedy work. I love even his serious work.
Yeah.
Even though, yes, some people are like, you're really hitting me on the nose. But some of it works, and Vice, I just don't think it does.
No.
All. Yeah.
I would also say that if you're watching Vice for the first time, not knowing anything, you'll enjoy it. When you watch it the second time, you'll feel differently. That is all.
If you've never read news before,
if you're a child a young person would not know Dick Cheney. If
you've never experienced humor or read the news or talked to another person, you might think Vice is great.
Well, like, no. Even, like, if Gen Z were to watch this, they have no fucking context of Cheney.
Yeah.
Like me watching some Nixon shit, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't know anything about him.
Who is that even?
Who's that guy?
Honestly.
Sick name.
It's so funny because, again, this will be old by the time we talk about this, but like, did you hear about that stuff with the Osama bin Laden letter to America thing? That people
what
were,
is going on?
Like, that stuff was like so wild, but it's like that actually kind of, I thought about that when watching Vice, because I was like, yeah, are people going to kind of look back and just be like, dude, Dick Cheney, like, it would be, it wouldn't surprise me if like Dick Cheney dies, right?
Right.
Eventually, after 4 or 5, 6 heart transplants, he like dies. And in like 20 years, we see like young, like Gen Zs who are maybe in their late 20s being like, I think the greatest political person in the last 20 years was Dick Cheney. And like, and like rediscovering, like,
girl boss,
young,
CEO,
like, young, like Republican, when Republicans are like finally figure out how to use TikTok and learn how to write in the English language, like they'll like get all these young people to just like amp up Republicans of the past being like, I think he did a lot of great for this country.
Of course. Yeah. I feel like politics would have dissolved by the time young people rise to power, and will just be like a flat hierarchy of self-governance.
I think the idea, even though it's like, it's true and going to happen, I think the idea of thinking of anyone who's like Gen Z or Gen Alpha being like a staunch Republican is so funny to me.
It feels like it won't happen.
Because I don't believe that, like, I think young people are so much more progressive than even millennials were, us stupid fucking millennials.
Yeah.
But like, it's so funny to think that, like, what republicanism
can even like Ice Spice voting for waterboarding, just like, I feel like a Bobby. Get his ass.
So,
I don't know.
It's weird. I'm really glad that we're gonna die in 6 or 7 months. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for listening. Sorry that we talked about Spain and that was annoying for everyone, and then we talked about a movie neither of us really like, and that was probably also annoying to everyone too. Sorry about that.
I'm just saying, if you watch it, you'll feel the same. Like, we're all in the same boat.
It's not worth watching. Let me put it that way. It's worth giving a chance to.
Yeah. Go. Do you have something to say in Mr. Cheney's? Mr. Cheney, are you here with us? I feel like
I've been here I've been filling this bucket with water, but I think it's about time that you took me to the hospital.
It's been the low ceiling, guys.
Thank you for listening.
I'm Pri, and you are
Dick
Cheney.
I'll be here next week when we talk about Coach Carter, a great American film.
Fuck yeah.
That I think I would rent.
Score shoots.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Bye.
I've been John. Bye.